The tent flap rustled, and Marcel stepped inside without knocking. "Good morning, Cade," he said, brushing dust from his sleeve. "I wasn't sure your little guild would survive to see another fair." Cade straightened from the small desk where he had been arranging the day's ledger. He met Marcel's handshake stiffly. "We've done well enough." Marcel laughed. "Yeah. Look around. You're barely hanging on there. Look around, Cade. You'll break before they ever hire you." "We'll find work," Cade stated, jaw tight. Marcel stepped closer, voice dropping. "And you'll march those children to their death. Give it up." Cade's eyes burned as they flicked to the battered courtyard. "They have more grit than any pressed soldier. My son..." He stopped, chest tightening. Damn it, he said too much. Marcel smirked knowingly. Cade straightened, his voice firm. "We'll see who starves first." "Get out." Marcel gave a low laugh as he slipped out. "He's not your son, fool. He's a curse. Always has been." The tent flapped closed, leaving Cade alone with the quiet flapping of the canvas and the faint sounds of the courtyard beyond. Cade reached for the tent pole and squeezed his rage into it. 3 dots, scene change. June pulled off his helmet and squinted at the setting sun. Still enough light to find food and maybe an ale. The contest had lasted longer than he liked, but in the end he won. He usually did. At the yearly fair, he had one goal: remind the Empire why they still feared his name. No man could match him face to face in heavy plate, duel, or real fight. These opponents were lucky that today was the friendly kind. Still, his body ached more than it had last year, and it soured his mood. The Empire didn't crave blood, just the illusion of it. June hated the staged combat. He had strangled men in real battlefields under the brutal sun, their lives decided over mills and land. But here, it was theater, and theater brought clients that fed the guild Sisyphus. Now, all he wanted was ale, food, maybe a woman. He winced. His armor smelt like socks on a corpse. These public displays weren't real, but by the sacred whore they were draining and noisy with applause. Haya Winnan, second in command of Sisyphus Guild, waited nearby, arms crossed, looking insufferably clean and thin. Haya thought Jume's head had the shape and texture of a potato. To him, Jume was as unrefined as he was deadly. Every interaction felt like it could end in a blade. One misplaced word, and he'd be mulch. Luckily, Haya's mask was his strongest asset. "Good fight out there, Jume. By the gods, better than last year." Haya clapped him on the back. "I'm hungry," Jume growled, in no mood for pleasantries. "This way, my dirt-eating friend," Haya said, gesturing in his foppish way. The insult was calculated. Jume could smell fear. The slur cut deeper than it should. Shahab was the desert capital, home to all the so-called desert eaters. His people came from the sand and wind-swept vastness. Haya should have been groveling. Instead, he smirked. Yes, Haya dismissed the returned insult. "Clan Akawan has kebabs, potatoes, ale, and they have dancing. We're invited. Leading with food and women always was a safe bet. Clan Akawan are crafters," Jume spat. "They're rich. Their ale is good, their girls are pretty, and they're marrying into Khalduld," Haya said, dropping the name like a prize. Jume arched an eyebrow. Khalduld, shipping guild that ran trade routes from Shahub south to Zarun, the kingdom of Tavaskan's jewel on the sea. and they never let Durham forget about it. They came upon a large crowd, spilling from a small, ruddy-looking mercenary encampment. People cheered, blocking the path, stumbling. Cheap ale filled Jim's nostrils. You know what this is? Jim gestured dismissively. Tassos, Piacide, pointing at the guild banner. They came up with some sort of test of strength game. Idiots have been wasting time at it all day. The register doesn't even recognize it, and some girl is champion. It took no more motivation. Jim Carrick pushed to the front of the crowd like a stampeding elephant. As he moved, he unfastened the heavy plates of armor, not because he needed to, but he didn't expect much of a fight, but because the sweat-soaked stink was unbearable. One buckle after another dropped to the ground with a clink, until he stood stripped to his undertunic and breeches. Through the dust, June saw a willowy girl sparring a man whom June thought he'd seen earlier. The man's nose gushed blood, and as he regained his composure, she darted between the man's legs. The man let go of the staff to maintain his balance and protect his jewels. "I'll challenge the champion," June called. One kick to the chest would end this nonsense. Another competition where someone with no business fighting was gaining momentum in the eyes of the right and rich. The girl spun on her heel and looked at him. Her dark eyes sparkled with delight. Her hands on the staff went behind her back. There was no fear in this one, June noted. A year on the battlefield would change that. He'd seen it before. "Cade?" the girl asked, gesturing to a short, dark man with her chin. "There is a price to fight, sir," Cade said, stepping in. June rolled his eyes. "Of course there is." He didn't smell the scam until he stepped in it, like dog shit. "Of course there is," Cade, the guildmaster and master of ceremonies, repeated, tossing his hands to the air. The crowd cheered as if trained. They had been through this before. Someone in the back called, "That's my beer money, Cade, you thief," to general laughter as the guildmaster made an elaborate bow. It seemed the Tassos Guild was selling beer and mead to accompany the entertainment. "How much?" June asked impatiently. "2 silver, Cade answered, enthusiastically gesturing with one hand held high. The crowd drunkenly cheered. Haya handed the coin over and slapped June on the shoulder. To back out now would be a bad mark. The crowd would note it. Rumors would spread. "Rules!" Cade began and staggered only a bit. Cade was perhaps more than 3 dunks into his cups. Regardless, he stated the rules with the practiced ease of a man who had been saying them all day, quickly and without repetition. Both opponents started with both hands on the staff. Hand positions can be adjusted, but if the hand leaves the staff, it cannot be placed back on. The goal: remove both of your opponent's hands from the staff. Begin. June started the way most men did. He jerked the staff towards himself. The girl stumbled a bit, bounced off the staff with a giggle. Pretty, June thought. He pushed her away, and she bounced backward, giggling again. He imagined her face smeared with blood, her jaw broken, her life extinguished. He kicked hard, but she was out of range. Her smile was enraging. It was innocence and cocky and foolish. She winked at him. Actually winked. June wanted to plant her face first into the dirt, just to wipe it off. He twisted the staff, and the girl twisted with it, ducking her head under her arm. At the end of the spin, while his arms were crossed, her arms were straight. Her back was to him. Infuriating. It was like punching water. Before he could untwist, she jumped, kicking both feet back into his stomach. He bent forward from the blow. June hadn't been hit this hard in the stomach without armor in years. The girl spun around the pole without ever letting go, performing maneuvers that could dislocate a shoulder. She kicked him in the nose. It exploded with blood. June's vision was still bright white light. He felt her heel smash into his hand, then his wrist. He let go, rage taking over. He wanted to grab her by the throat and squeeze. When he let go, she dropped to the ground and was ducking between his legs. June felt the blood rise to his cheek. He had seen this part. He took an exaggerated step back, grabbed the bottom of the staff with his free hand, and swung it in a high arc. The girl followed the staff into the air. Her grip failed, and she was sent flying. She bounced twice, rolled, and her skirt slid up, revealing dirty legs up to her dust-covered small clothes. She rolled again, exposing a scratched and red bottom. June smiled, resting the staff on his shoulder. The crowd oohed and awed, some for the throw, some for the tumble, and more than one for the flash of legs and small clothes. Dre felt the cool night air on her thighs. Her blood roared, rage, embarrassment, panic. "Get up, stupid! Your skirt's over your head," she thought. Somewhere a man whistled low and called, "Best move of the match, miss." Then a drunk voice from the back chimed in, "Marry me!" With a burst of energy only a teenage girl with her underwear showing could summon, she sprang to her feet. One hand yanked her skirt down, and the other stabbed the air towards June. He laughed. "You cheated!" The crowd roared. Some agreed, some disagreed, and many just laughed. June laughed too, but it was a dark sound. He turned to Cade. "You'll lead her to her grave if this is all she's learning," he said, tossing the staff to Cade before vanishing into the crowd. "Swaggering, sand-stained bastard!" Dre cursed to his disappearing back as Cade set up another fight. She discovered part of her skirt was still a great deal higher than it should be. Dre rubbed her bruised bottom, pouting, until, of course, she saw Roma sigh bouncing up to her. It was a skip, but every part of her seemed to be in some sort of giddy, joyous motion, and as soon as Dre's eyes took her in, Roma's embrace overtook her. "That was amazing," Roma shouted into Dre's ear. "Hardly. I just showed everyone my small clothes." "They were just glad you were okay," Roma cooed, rubbing Dre's back and kissing the deep red crown of her filthy hair. "Let's have a drink." "It was good, Dre. You almost had him," Sen offered. "You think so, Sen?" "My butt doesn't." Dre laughed and mussed his blonde hair, then pulled him close to her. "You want a drink?" "Yeah, but..." Sen pushed Dre away, looking at her seriously. "I have a tournament tomorrow." "You do? And you will make the whole guild proud. Riding and what?" Roma asked. "Single combat, double gauche." He lifted his chin proudly. "That's my style." Dre smiled. "Sinister hand," Roma whispered ominously. "Deadliest of all hands, not to be confused with the clumsy hand or the sticky hand." Sen glared. "Shut up." Roma stuck out her tongue. But Sen continued. "They're good. Medium-sized daggers that let you get in close. Built to deflect anything. Speed and precision over brute strength. Double left. The sinister hand. It suits me." Sen sounded like he was quoting Cade in a training session. Roma grinned. Dre nodded. "You're going to get bigger, though. One day, you're going to be a big squirrel. What's the name for that, Roma?" Roma shrugged and smiled. "I will," Sen noted. "But I hope not. The fastest riders are so light, and I don't want to burden the horse." "True, but it doesn't matter how fast you are if, when you get there, you're too small to attack," Dre commented, patting Sen's head. Sen laughed. "Have you ever seen me ride, Dre? Besides, it's mostly archery." Cade waved off the trio, confirming that she was done for the night. "So, where to? Rolling Thunder?" Roma asked excitedly. The Rolling Thunder clan were musicians, dancers, and entertainers. Naturally, their encampment was straight debauchery at night. Roma's favorite place because of the drums and dancing. The drums were the source of their name. "I have to make an appearance at Clan Akawan," Dre sighed, unhappily remembering. "For your mom?" Roma asked, knowing the answer. "By hill and stone, she's the worst," Roma cursed. "She is," Sen agreed solemnly. Bet you wish you were an orphan like me and Roma, free to do whatever we like. Yeah, you mean whatever Kate likes, Roma corrected. Same thing, Sen jeered. Ah, come on though, Dre. Why are you still part of your clan? It's ridiculous, Roma said, pulling on Dre's arm as if trying to tug her away from it. It's not that simple when you have parents, Dre laughed. Her mom was a handful, sure, but she loved her family. Let me change, wash up, and we'll all go to dinner at Clan Akwan. Then we'll put little Senjab to bed. She ruffled his hair, and he pulled away angrily. Then we'll go dancing at Rolling Thunder. The three ducked into the recruit tent, and the girls changed for dancing and dinner. Sen sat with his back to them, whittling a stick. The stick was already half destroyed, but by judging the skull on his face, it deserved it.